almost 7-8 years to cultivate all those habits. After that,
Sharon?
Hello?
Hello, Sharon. Yeah, I think, hi, this is Lucas here.
Good evening, sir. This is Sharon here. So I just joined. Very good evening
Okay.
to all the participants.
Shivani is there, no? Shivani is there. Hi, Shivani.
Hi, sir.
Yeah, Sharon will take over.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah.
So hello, everyone. It's great to meet all of you, and I hope all of you are not experiencing any network issues right now. If you are, then it would be great to make some kind of arrangements, to keep maybe a secondary device ready, or to keep any other mobile data ready. So good luck. So hello everyone, welcome to the 10th edition of Books and Coffee. So I'm so happy to be with you here today, and we are just about to start. And I see a lot of the audience have joined us already, but we'll just wait for 2 more for you. So I'll be making this once again. So this is for all the participants, and also for those of us who have joined us. Miss Usha Alagappan from American Center, Chennai, has very generously offered their services for all the secondary sources. So she has offered secondary sources to be mailed to the email IDs of the panelists or for future participants of our meets. So just making this announcement, I'll be making this once again. So you can contact us regarding this. So we'll start now. It's 6 p.m. The time that we have decided to will start now. And we will start with our first panelist. Before that, I would just like to express my thanks to Dr. Rufus for arranging this amazing meet for all of us. This is a place where we can all come together and discuss our undying love of books, just amongst this very vibrant readers readers community. It is a pleasure and a privilege to be here. I'm so happy to be moderating today, and we have such a great array of books lined up for you who are here with us today. So we'll start, and I would like to invite our first presenter of the day, Ms. Anusha Sreekant, and I'm sure you all read a little bit about her in the excerpt that has been mailed to you. So she is a student of Madras Christian College, and she is already a writer. And she has written plays and short stories and a collection of poems. So we have a writer here with us today, and I'm very happy to invite her to begin the day and to kickstart our session with a very interesting book. So I would like to let her do the honor. Miss Srikant, can we have you on screen?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Um, okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening, and thank you, ma'am, for the very kind introduction. That was very kind of you. And then, so the book I'm dealing with today is Consciousness in Four Dimensions. It's about, it connects biological relativity and the origins of thought. So I picked it up mostly. I'm not a science student. I picked it up mostly because of the title. It was fascinating, and the book as well was very fascinating. It's a Okay, first, it's written by Richard M. Pico, who is a neurobiologist and a neuropsychiatrist from Indiana. He describes it as the product of his lifelong research in cognitive theory. And he proposes how consciousness is uniquely human and originates in the brain. So these are the two arguments that he puts forward. And how he arrives at this, he uses some connection with the theory of relativity proposed by Einstein. Although he doesn't completely rely on that, and there are critics who say that the connection is somewhat at best metaphorical rather than actually something scientific or theoretical. So there are two other names in the field who have proposed very similar lines of thought and research. So one is Giulio Tononi, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, and the other is Gerald Edelman, who co-authored the book A Universe of Consciousness, How Matter Becomes Imagination. So both of these works are very science-oriented. They are based on years of research, and they're very technical. But at the same time, Dr. Pico makes it a point to make it very accessible. He goes through the basics of most of the topics, and it's not exactly, as tough as it would have been usually. Now, the other thing is, so yeah, since I'm not a science student, and since my understanding of these things is mostly related, how I connect it to literature or something else, which I have some, I wouldn't say some knowledge about, I'd say some access to. I'm not going to be dealing with the science side of it as such. I'm going to be talking about one aspect of this whole theoretical framework that really connects to literature as such, and that I found very fascinating for one, and that is the concept of memory. So the whole concept of to start with, I'd like to connect it to I'd like to form the basic idea of evolution that these many researchers and Dr. Pico here talks about to arrive at this stage. So the first thing is that we say the evolutionary life began with protocells, which are cells which are, yes, they have simple bubble-like walls. Like, they don't have anything more than that. They have very simple bubble-like walls inside which there are some reactions going on, and there's the outside environment which has its own reactions, and the environment as such. So these are not very capable of handling a change in the environment. So these protocells, as soon as the environment outside becomes unfavorable and they have something that affects them, then unfavorably, they tend to collapse or okay, they tend to collapse or they tend to break apart. So they don't sustain as such. Now, this is where the concept of a lucky protocell comes into being, where this lucky protocell, it has some sort of, what do you call that? I mean, it has a, that's a very interesting term, because immediately we come to the concept of heap somehow. So the lucky protocell, it has this, it has a way of managing these internal reactions in a way such that it can sustain I mean, not irrespective of, but maybe it can handle a little more of the environmental changes outside. And in this manner, it kind of gives way, it evolves and it gives way to further evolution. So what happens here, when we talk about consciousness in the evolutionary perspective, what happens is, it is not just that the being has evolved there, it is the retention of the memory of the being that helps us move forward evolutionarily. I think that's a very fascinating concept, considering the vastness of what we're dealing with. Um, Considering the vastness of what we are dealing with, in terms of the universe, in terms of our own beings, how this particular being is a consequence of memory itself. So it's not just that we remember a lot of stuff. Like another very important thing, very not important, I'd say very interesting thing there is that we often talk about memory in terms of, say, any kind of literature. We say uh, this is some sort of an erasure of a social memory or a cultural impact that we are erasing out of memory, or literature is a way of recording those things, or history is a way of recording those things, or how we complete history. All of these, yeah, in all of these times we talk about memory. But here is a concept that says how memory is so much more than that. It's as if these are not causes of what we retain as memory, but also the consequence of memory itself, because our being here is a consequence of memory. Okay, I'm sorry for being too complicated. Please interrupt me if you feel that I'm like talking utter nonsense. So it's just that the so in that way we could talk about the emergence of consciousness as the summary of the emergence of life. So it's like the consciousness is about being aware, the idea of being aware, and the emergence of the idea of being aware is a summary of the emergence of life, because of the evolutionary principle. Now, this is also very interesting, because it is this idea of memory that helps us build narratives. If we come to any sort of narrative for that matter, the very reason that we are able to join, get together here and share this experience is because we recollect that, okay, there is some event in the future, that is this event from the past, when we see this event was supposed to happen. And we are here now because we can retain that information and we can make plans accordingly. So it's our being here right now is the consequence of memory, which helps us build a narrative in a way that it helps us. There are two things to it. One, of course, is the concept of how we are connecting the past, the present, and the future. And the other is that we are putting ourselves into it. So we are arriving at a concept of the self, as we are becoming aware of the self. And most of the times we talk about this, and many of the reviewers of these books constantly say that when we talk about these things, we usually talk about it in the metaphysical level. But here they're talking about it in a scientific level and saying how the whole idea of creating a narrative is the function of creating a narrative is an almost exclusively human domain, because it is possible for the human being to think about it and to recollect it and to remember these things and to put the self in that context, to put the self and the concept of time together. Although there are higher beings, like higher beings on the evolutionary ladder, who tend to have this kind of, even if they acknowledge this kind of a thing in their being, they don't exactly have the tools to express it. That's where we arrive at the concept of language, which is equally, if not more beautiful, because it is according to what these people say and according to what we can think of when we talk about these theories, is that first we start by showing some sort of and one thing about consciousness here is that it's this awareness. Why did it take science so long to reach here, or why does it take us so long to even perceive this, is because it is so subjective. We can't and because it is so subjective, and I think most of the literature people here can agree to that, because it is so subjective, it is so hard to express it. Because if I can't show you a relative thing and tell you what this feels like, that I can't really tell you what this feels like. I can only I can tell you any number of attributes about this, but still it'll always be about what your subjective experiences about those attributes are. It'll never really reach to what subjective experience I've had. So in that sense, it is this in the theory they call it qualia assumption, which is the qualitative aspects of consciousness, which are very private and very subjective and cannot be really subjected to scientific theory. Now, the beauty of this thing is that the entirety of this conscious experience, consciousness, there is an incredible unity to it, because there are billions and billions of ways in which this can manifest. There are not just manifest, but it can exist. There is perception, there is imagery, there is a lot of ways in which consciousness manifests. And we call ourselves indecisive. A lot of us call ourselves indecisive because we can't pick a career, pick a clothes, or whatever else we are told to decide upon. But here within us is what the certain theorists call as the dynamic core, which is that part of us, which is the active consciousness, which is making this huge decision out of billions of possibilities and picking this one single point of view and putting it forward as this extraordinarily differentiated point of view, or the possibility that it puts forward. Okay, and that it has that kind of access to information about the possibilities, and it makes that choice within fractions of seconds and responds accordingly. And this is not like something that it chooses when we are born and then it just continues that way. It chooses that according to each stimuli it gets. That is, as I'm talking to you, my mind is thinking about what exactly is the perspective that I should adopt regarding this, and what exactly should I connect it to. So it is an ongoing process. And it is and also it is beautiful that the way we are capable of making choices, not just these choices, but the choices that it influences, like how I'm deciding to talk to you right now. I'm acting upon that. So how that works. So yeah, that's something, and how this memory leads to consciousness, and how it all comes together. So it's a really interesting book, and it also comes as it gives us plenty of food for thought about how we can take sides about it, whether we are computational beings, whether computers can take us forward from here, or whether we are something that is removed from these computers, that computers can never emulate us. So all those questions can come, and it provides incredible food for thought. So that's one reason I think everyone should probably give it a shot, even though science can be overwhelming. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sreekant, for that very lucid and very fascinating presentation of your book. And I can say frankly, I was so intrigued by it when I saw the title, and I think now I have a very clear and I'm very tempted to read the book right now because it sounds so versatile, and the way you were talking about it clearly showed us how passionate you are about this. And I think that's the most attractive thing about any book, when the readers are so passionate about it. Uh, so I would like the participants to ask a question to our presenter here. We can have at least one question, after which we'll have to move on to our next session. Do we have any questions? Okay, I really wish to ask you this question, Miss Sreekant. So you were talking about how computers can, if they can ever even compare to us, if they can even try to emulate us, right? And I have seen a lot of speculative fiction revolving around this kind of fun idea, both on the screen and in books also. So what is your take on this?
Okay, that's a really tricky question because yeah, as paradoxically, I'm a very indecisive person. So the I think it's difficult to say because if we are going to talk about the mechanical aspect of it, then it is quite possible for computers to reach that level because we are capable of it. We can our brain function can be emulated there, but at the same time, will they be human? That's highly debatable. I don't think I have a perspective on it yet.
Okay, so thank you for that reply.
Thank you.
Yes, that was a great presentation, and so we'll be moving on to the next presentation now, which is by Ms. Pillai. So I would like to invite Ms. Shivani Pillai. One more announcement: 5 minutes before your presentation, I will give you a heads up. I'll leave a comment in the chat box, so please keep checking the chat box if you wish to know how much more time you have. Ms. Shivani Pillai, can you take over?
Yes. Can you see me? Am I audible? Yeah,
Yes, you
okay.
are.
Thank you, thank you. Good evening, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be here. So today I will be reviewing The Golden Notebook by Doris Lessing. There are many reasons why I chose this book, but I'll go with just the one reason that really stuck to me, and that is um, this novel was very, very interesting, and it had such a multifaceted feel to it that towards the end, it didn't feel like I was reading a novel. It almost felt like I was engaging with a person, like of another person. It gave me that incredible feel, which is why I picked up this novel for reviewing. And so it goes without saying that there were many aspects of the novel that I really enjoyed. And before I actually go into those aspects, I'd like to give you a very small gist about the novel without any spoilers, so you needn't worry about that. So, The Golden Notebook, as the title says, is a novel that talks to us about Anna Wolf, the protagonist. She is a writer who is struggling with writer's block. And in an attempt to overcome that writer's block, what she does is she chronicles her everyday life and her everyday thoughts in the form of 4 notebooks. Now, each of these notebooks are of a specific color. So we have black, we have red, we have black notebook, we have the black notebook, we have the red notebook, we have the blue notebook, and you have the yellow notebook. And each of these notebooks, what they do is they are dedicated to a particular aspect of Anna Wolf's life, such that, you know, they compartmentalize her whole life journey. And this is one of the reasons I really like the novels, because it gives a very fragmented approach to a personality. In reality, our mind is quite fragmented. which we can we learned that from what Anusha said just before me. So each of these notebooks, they, for example, the black notebook talks about Anna's writing life, and the red notebook talks about her political experiences. The yellow notebook talks about her personal life, and the blue notebook talks about her everyday life. There is also a fifth notebook called the Golden Notebook. The title itself made that very evident. The Golden Notebook is something very unique in the novel. So the Golden Notebook ties up what all the four notebooks say. It's almost like if you have four Venn diagrams and you have an intersection, that's the Golden Notebook. So I've given you a gist of the novel. The thing that really stood out about each of these notebooks is each of them was so poignantly written. They had such powerful description that they could be individual novels in their own right. That's how good these individual notebooks were. Now I will give an example for that. For example, in the Black Notebook, Anna Wolf records her experiences of living in southern Rhodesia, which is present-day Zimbabwe. And in the Black Notebook, the accounts are so vivid and moving that we feel like we were there with her. And in addition to that, what she does is she also writes about the perils of being a writer, the perils and pitfalls and the difficulties of the craft of writing. And it exposes that in such a brilliant manner. It's such a moving account, an outstanding account, that we actually sympathize with her. And moving on, in the Red Notebook, what really is amazing is through the Red Notebook, Doris Lessing managed to give a very telling and startling commentary on the convoluted and changing facets of communism in England. The novel was written in 1962, and back then communism was developing in England. And she talks about all those developments with such startling historical accuracy. And then in the Yellow Notebook, we find that, so I'd like to make a point here. Anna Wolf is someone who really pines for male companionship. So she has relationships with many men, but unfortunately, all of them end on a very bitter note, and she's heartbroken at the end of all of them. So she also has a lot of frustration after the end of every relationship, and she cannot channel them in any other way. In order to channel that, what she did is she writes in the Yellow Notebook, and she writes it as a fictionalized account. So she creates her alter ego, Ella, and she writes about her failed relationships in the form of a story, which gives her clarity at the end. It's therapeutic for her. So now I'll talk about a few techniques that were used in the novel. I mentioned that the novel had a very multifaceted personality, and one of the reasons it had that is because of the techniques. So you have straightforward narrative in the novel. We have narrative in the form of diary entries. We have narrative in the form of newspaper cutouts, and we have narrative in the form of fictionalized experiences, like we have in the case of the Yellow Notebook. And also, one more narrative technique is the novel keeps shifting between the first person narrative and the third person narrative very seamlessly. Usually in novels, when they have that first person to third person narrative, there might be a bit of a chaos. But here it happens so seamlessly that you don't even realize it. And I think that's very important. That shift is very important because it gives a nuanced background for the time and space. And in this novel, we find a lot of expanding space, like the novel shifts from Southern Rhodesia to London, and then it shifts back to Southern Rhodesia and London. It keeps shuttling back and forth. And for that to be a seamless transition, I think it's very important that the narrative style, that is first person and third person, be good, and the novel does that. And I think this novel speaks volumes about Doris Lessing's craftsmanship as a writer. Obviously, no review is complete, or a review is not a review if I don't talk about the characters. So even in terms of characterization, what Doris Lessing does through this novel is she really sets the bar high, and we are introduced to a lot of characters, like a lot of characters, through Anna's diary, through Anna's accounts in the notebooks, and all these characters represent such an outstanding diversity of people that it almost feels like, you know, we are engaging with the viewing gallery of human personalities. That's how it feels. And even though the supporting characters are so well thought out and wholesome, we find that they never really overpower Anna Wolf. You know that Anna Wolf is the protagonist. So not only do you have a very well developed main character, you also get to relish the wholesomeness of the supporting characters, which I think is another reason why this novel is great. And obviously, after characters comes the theme. The novel, when it was published in 1962, it created a lot of chaos because of the themes that it talked about. For one, the novel deals with romantic relationships in a very different way. The novel talks about the superficial and ephemeral nature of romantic relationships, and we get to see that through Anna's failed relationships with Michael, Saul Green, and a few other men. And while it gives a very realistic portrayal, on the other hand, we are presented with a very vibrant friendship between Anna and Molly. So the friendship between Anna and Molly is really great. And we can see that because the two women, they go through so much, but still their friendship remains intact. And what Lessing does is she gives us two different relationships, and she allows us to step into the characters and evaluate our own life through those relationships. And the other theme that the novel brilliantly dealt with is the theme of mental health. Now, Anna Wolf, she undergoes mental battles every day, and she undergoes a severe struggle for identity. And these two things are portrayed with such blistering honesty and with such rawness that it's impossible to not feel for the character. And I think this is a very important aspect of the novel that needs to be talked about, because there is still a stigma around mental health. Even today, mental health is hesitatingly spoken of, and we can only imagine how terrible the condition would have been back in 1962. But Doris Lessing managed to break the stigma around it, and she managed to engage with that topic very well in the novel. So that is about the theme. And we all know that The Golden Notebook is considered to be one of the greatest feminist classics of all time. And that's because the novel presents us with a very passionate picture of women who are subjected to patriarchy, to systematized patriarchy. And that's the reason why this novel is still very relevant. I'll conclude by, reading out a quote that I found. The quote is, "Do you know what people really want? Everybody in the world is thinking, I wish there was just one other person I could really talk to, who could really understand me, who'd be kind to me. That's what people really want." So the novel is filled with such beautiful lines, and I'd like to conclude. So you know that this novel is built around notebooks, and it's important the one big takeaway I got from the novel is how important notebooks are. We usually dismiss our notebooks as being insignificant, but then we need to look at notebooks as being telescopes, that can, give us an insight into the subconscious of even the most ordinary people. And I would like to tell you all one thing, that it's not easy to read the Golden Notebook. It needs a lot of patience, it needs a lot of hard work. But I think all the patience and hard work that a person will put into this novel will definitely pay off, because in these pages, Doris Lessing has captured the fascination of an entire generation. And for that reason, I think we really should read this novel, and I hope you can read it. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Ms. Pillai, for that excellent presentation. And while you were talking about it, I was taken back to my UG days where we read Doris Lessing's Room Number 19, and I was so taken with her at that time. I remember how how succinctly she had phrased her thoughts, how well she had put forth such an idea. She has the power to express things that cannot be easily expressed, and I think that is a gift, an unparalleled gift that she has. And as you were talking, I could find many similars between Sylvia Plath and Doris Lessing, because Sylvia Plath has also written a very similar work about a budding writer who has a writer's block, also The Silver Jar. So I was reminded of that. So thank you for a very powerful and passionate review. The floor is now open for questions. If you have questions, please do direct them to Ms. Pillai. Do we have questions? I encourage the participants to leave questions in the chat box, which we can address even at the end of the session. So thank you, Ms. Pillai.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we'll move on to the next session now. Before that, I have an announcement to make. Ms. Usha Alagappan from the American Center, Chennai, is happy to provide secondary resources for the student participants and for any other participants of these meetings in the future. So that's a very generous offer, and I think you all need to be aware of it. And I would like you all to make use of it in case you need it. So if you need any help from the American Center, Chennai, please to leave your contact details or just your name in the chat box, and we'll get back to you. So with this, we'll move on to the next session, which is by Ms. Urmi Mukherjee. And she is also a student like all our other panelists here. And she has chosen a very interesting work to review. I'm so surprised at the versatility of works that we have here today. It's such a wide spectrum. The first one was way out of the left field, to use a sports metaphor. It was something that most literature majors might not even have thought about or picked up usually. So it was a very unusual kind of a presentation, and I'm so happy that we have such a diverse field here today. So the next book is also is something very interesting. It touches on a lot of political questions. So I think we are all maturing as readers when we are introduced to such a wide spectrum of works, ranging from the naturalistic to the political to the cultural to the feministic. So I would like to invite Ms. Mukherjee to take over now.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, thank you so much for the introduction. I would like to thank Rufus sir and my professor Aparna Srinivasan and Aparna Suresh and Sunita ma'am for the constant encouragement. Well, I have decided to review the novel Lajja by Taslima Nasrin, and yeah, here I go. So Lajja, a book that has attracted millions of attention from different parts of the world and has been translated from original Bengali into English by many translators like Tutul Datta, has often, actually always been criticized for being a boring novel. So today I have decided to pick this boring novel, Lajja by Taslima Nasrin, to show you what Nasrin actually meant to say through her novel and what message she wanted to show the world through her masterpiece. I have picked the original Bengali version for this evening, and I hope you like it. So Lajja is a novel It's a devastating account of the demolition of Babri Masjid in 1992 that had an effect on the Hindu families staying outside India, especially in Bangladesh, in Pakistan. This particular novel talks about the family of Sudhamai and how they were devastated by the effect, by the demolition. At every bend, Sudhamai and his family were abused. They were humiliated as a result of anti-minority policies. And even then, Sudhamai, the protagonist, refuses to leave his motherland, Bangladesh, until at the end of the novel, his daughter goes missing. Well, this novel, this novel very naturally arises the question: did Taslima Nasrin, by any chance, take the side of a particular religion? Because when she is showing the cruelty done by the Muslim community, she is definitely on a surface level taking the side of the Hindu religion, Hinduism in general. My answer to that would be no. She hasn't been biased about any particular religion in this novel. Why? Because I will give you an example. She has shown the nakedness of a Muslim community, but she has never glorified Hinduism or Hindu beliefs in her novel. The Hindu characters like Sudhamai and his son Suranjan do have flaws in their characters. In one example, I see Suranjan is raping a Muslim prostitute just to show his superiority towards the Muslim culture, the Muslim religion. He wanted to show his hatred by raping this girl. So, well, these people, this Muslim community as well as Hindu community, both have their own flaws in the novel. So, Taslima Nasrin is not being biased in the book. I felt the message that Nasrin wanted to say through the work is that religion, when misunderstood, can never do any good to the society or to the humankind. It reminds me of Periyar, who said that, religion and caste specifically can turn humans into beasts. That's exactly what this novel is all about. Talking about this novel, Taslima Nasrin has delicately shown the characters in the novel. She hasn't mentioned the characters for paragraphs after paragraphs, but she has stated in through her dialogues. For example, Sudhamai, the father in the family, his wife Kiranmai, the son Suranjan Datta, and the daughter Maya Datta. These are the four protagonists of the novel, and the novel basically revolves around them. Sudhamai appears to be highly materialistic. When asked by Kiranmai to leave for India, he says that, what will happen to my ancestral land? He doesn't want to leave his place because he's too much attached to where he stays. He is also like a person who is super delusional. He believes in a utopian world where one day his Muslim neighbor and he will walk on the road hand in hand, which definitely would never happen, which is never a realistic portrayal of anything. He's delusional, just like his son Suranjan, a roughly 34-year-old youth, an educated youth who talks of Marxism, who has finished his studies and still is unemployed, who does nothing but borrowing money from his neighbor to keep his family going. The only good thing about the family is Kiranmai, who I felt was the representative of a submissive wife and mother in the family. She becomes a robot towards the end of the novel, being suppressed both by her husband and the society, and as well as Suranjan, the son. Maya, the daughter, she believes she was the only character in the novel who wants to live her life, and she can go to any extent to do that. She metaphorically presents hope and faith in the novel. Unfortunately, she goes missing towards the end, and we know what would have gone wrong with her. She would have been raped and murdered. Taslima Nasrin has never said what happened to her, but that is what it is. Well, the themes that have been explored in the novel, apart from the obvious ones, religion and the oppression, are double marginalization, as you can already see, happens with the Muslim prostitute. We readers, when we read that particular chapter, we empathize with this girl who first gets abused and raped because of her religion, and next for her gender. Well, double marginalization is a very important quality when it comes to feminist novels. And needless to mention, Taslima Nasrin was a feminist writer, and she has infused a lot of elements of feminism in the novel. The next in line, the prominent theme, that is the identity. Well, the identity, I felt, is about what the characters think they are and what the surroundings think they are. For example, Suranjan, in reality, he thinks that he is a human being more than being a Hindu, or more than being a Bangladeshi. He thinks he is a Hindu and nothing else. But the surroundings, basically the Muslim neighbors, they think that he is a Hindu. Throughout the novel, Taslima Nasrin has said that Suranjan Datta is different from Jahangir Khan. So name becomes a very interesting factor to identity. Towards the end, we see identity crisis taking place in Suranjan's mind. He doesn't know where he belongs. He was born in Bangladesh, but he doesn't have any right to stay there even, which is considered to be the basic need for anybody. He's terrorized, traumatized by his own fellow human beings. So that happens. And the other things that they take place, the other themes basically are the third space. Yeah, exactly. The concept of third space, Homi K. Bhaba's third space that I can identify with this particular novel. Sudhamay Datta's family was a Hindu family living in Bangladesh. They completely don't belong to Bangladesh. Like, they're not Muslims, but they're not Indians. Like, they don't stay in India, so they're somewhere in between. So I guess that is where the concept of third space makes sense. Well, the writing analysis, when I was reading this novel, I could see a lot of prominent qualities that Taslima Nasrin has shown in this particular text. Some of them are, she has written the entire book in a simple language. It's so simple that it almost feels like a person talking to you. It's not flowery, and I can understand why, because she was dealing with a theme as serious as religion and oppression. So obviously the focus is not on the language. Interestingly, there are many instances where she uses a Bengali sentence in which she would include an English word very cleverly, and she would not bother to translate it in Bengali. And this is the beauty of Taslima Nasrin, that it never breaks the flow of the entire novel. It just fits perfectly and just sounds so simple and natural. The tone that she embraced was the observational tone. There is a very clear time shift that happens in the novel. Like, in the beginning, we get to know Sudhamay's life a little bit, and in the next page, we get to know Sudhamay's son Suranjan's point of view and his life. So it's a major time shift that keeps happening in the novel. Yes, and the drawbacks. You would notice that I said that, this novel is a very boring novel, and I know all the readers most of them who have read the novel would agree with me to this point, that this novel is a very boring novel. I would say, yes, it is a very boring novel due to the excessive factual details, the no particular plot line, unnecessary dragging of chapters. Well, yes, these are the factors that do affect the pace of any novel. But I feel when the theme that you have chosen is something that's very serious, then you can ignore all those drawbacks. She wanted to intensify the violence and the brutal effects of the effects of this particular thing, the demolition of Babri Masjid. So I guess you can ignore those drawbacks. um, for me, it was never a boring novel, though. Well, I have written some general information about this novel. The Bengali version. Oh, I forgot to mention this one thing. The readers of this English version, I know you were exhausted when you read the chapter that spoke about the romantic aspect between Ratna and Suranjan, that went for pages and was very difficult to finish. Let me tell you, in the original Bengali version, that particular chapter is dealt in like one paragraph. I don't know what went wrong with the translation, but that is what happens, in the original version. So, well, Taslima Nasrin was not that bad in the original version. Yeah, the general information that I was talking about. So,
Ms. Mukherjee, just a small reminder, you have 1 more minute.
yes, definitely, I'll finish it up by then. Thank you. So yeah, so this novel is about 60 pages, divided in 6 sections. It was first published in February 1993, and it sold over 60,000 copies before it was banned. Yes, it was banned because it was written by a Muslim woman supporting Hindu community staying in a Muslim dominated country. So obviously it was banned, and I believe she's still in exile for writing this kind of novels. The setting is roughly 7th of December 1992, and this novel is dedicated to her mother. It has got 3.5 Goodreads rating. So to conclude, while I was reading this novel, it was attached to whatever Taslima Nasrin was trying to say, and I could feel the pain of all the minority people staying outside the country. I could feel that. I can tell you this one thing: if you're not interested in reading a document or factual details, then you can skip this novel. But if you truly think that a novel or literature in general reflects the particular era, the particular time, then it is a must read for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that very dashing and lively review that you gave us. So, yes, I was so impressed by the way you dealt with such a very serious and delicate topic. And yes, as you very well put it, the writer has spoken about something, a very sensitive manner, in the right way that it has to be dealt with, and you did justice to it. So I would like our participants to shoot out any questions we might have for our presenter here. Do we have any questions?
Good evening. This is Dr. Beulah from Madurai. There's no question for me, but I would like to appreciate the way she has presented. That was a very lovely review, and I'm really happy to see all young girls who have come out to present or review the books. I'm so happy to listen to all the young ladies. So my appreciation to all the presenters, so far 3 presenters. That was a very lively presentation. Thank you so much, dears.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am, for your comment. I'm sure it has really enlivened our session. So we'll move on to the next session now. So I'd like to invite Ms. Haritha to take over. So Ms. Haritha is actually working for the Asian Chronicle. So we have another writer here with us. So I would like her to come on.
Good evening to everyone. So I thank Rufus sir and Moses sir for giving me an opportunity in this platform, and I'm going to give a book review about Robin Sharma's Who Will Cry When You Die. So this title actually attracted me to buy this book. So this book is a non-fiction one where most of the people get bored by reading this. It will make them sleepy. But for me, my own opinion is that I love this book. I love reading non-fiction books because I likes to gather the principles of life from different reviews, from different views of authors. So this book, this particular book written by Robin Sharma, Robin Sharma is a person who has who is mastering who is giving some advices to the billionaires in leadership skills, and he has written more than 15 books, and he has given his own views and his own lessons of life in form of words. So in this book, it is about 101 chapters, but it doesn't shows big, because 101 chapters, each chapter comprises of only 1 to 2 pages. So it's a very small book, but it has a lots of life lessons to be shared to the readers by him. So here I'm upon to share the review of the book, the content of the book. So the content actually really worked when you apply in your life. Well, not only reading will help in life, but you have to apply those principles, apply those themes into your life in order to enrich. So this book, in this book, he has given so many lessons, so many one-on-one lessons, that is not he has segmented lives into different forms, and he has given each gem, each chapters is called a gem, and you have to collect all the 101 gems and keep it in order to enrich in life. So here it goes, and he has told that in this book, to be kind with a stranger. So wherever you go, even you pass by a street, when you see a person who is so dumb, who is so sorrow, whose face is so, whose skin is so sorrow, and he's felt in a depression, kindly let them a smile, that will make him happy. So wherever you go, convey your kindness to them. Don't expect from others, rather you just give your kindness to everyone you see. Even you hate someone, kindly be kind to them. That's what he's trying to say. And another thing is self understanding. So self understanding is very important when it comes to human, because only by understanding our own life we can indulge in the process of life. So what at all, on considering what are to be the aspects to be considered uh, in for the understanding, is that you have to understand your motives, you have to understand what is your goal, what is your interest, what is your need in life. So when you understand, and also you have to understand your weakness, you have to know your weakness. So by knowing all these things, and by understanding all these things, whenever you find acts of life being coming into us, you can easily tackle your problem, and you can easily simplify your life in a sustained manner, where you can be prosperous. So, and another thing he likes to say is a journal. So I'm just picking all my favorite chapters alone here. So maintaining a journal is very important. As such, when everyone has a habit of writing diaries every day at night, but actually I don't. But maintaining a journal is more helpful rather than diary, because on journal, once you experience a day, try to jot down the ups and downs you face in particular day. So when you jot down those things every day and reading every day those points, you can be more careful to the downs, and you can track your progress, and that's how you can reach the destination so happily, like reaching your dreams true. So the next is watching good movies. He encourages to watch movies that are worthy, that gives some moral values. Maybe whatsoever genre may be, the moving pictures will give a tremendous effects, the effects of sound, the dialogues, the images. These all will be the thing that can be stored in human mind so easily, so spontaneously it gets stored in our mind. So watching those good movies will make us, to cultivate good habits in us. And the another one important strategy he explained here is three gate principle. So here, what is three gate? See here, when you utter a word to anyone, the first gate he talks about is truth. Whether the word you are going to utter is truth or not truth. So if truth, kindly pass on to the second gate. And the second gate he's gonna tell us necessary to utter. It is really necessary to tell them this particular thing or not. You have to know. If it's really necessary, then pass on to the third gate, which is, is it really whatever you're speaking, the manner of speaking, the style of speaking is kindful or not. If it's kindful, then just pass it to the another, so that the opposite person don't get hurt. So this is how he builds in order to, like, people say, like, there is a proverb, like, before leaving a words you should think upon, and if you even leave a word, you can just collect it back, because you have said what you have said is said. So please concentrate on your words before uttering to another. So next is think on others perspective. So always we stand upon on our own opinion. We don't stand for our others opinion, as we always being selfish though in that particular thing. And when you start to listen to them, you will coincidentally you also will other understand their perspective too. Maybe your friend, maybe your well-wisher, maybe your parents, whoever may be. If you don't understand them, if you don't listen to them, then you can't find peace between the relationship. So be kind to them, uh, be understanding, kindly listen to them, listen and think on their eyeballs. Just move your eyes into their eyes and see what they are seeing and what they are perceiving. Then you can make a solution to the problems that comes into our relationship. So next is he talks about his goals. So goals, we need to uh, cross so many hurdles. Hurdles are common. Only after crossing thorns you can reach the roses. So without thorns, roses can't exist. So hurdles are most important. So when the troubles are coming into your life, kindly take it as a blessing, not as a bane or not as a sin. Kindly don't think it in a pessimistic way, but kindly take it as a blessing and count your blessing, count your troubles, and then you succeed. Because making mistake happens in every human being. So making mistake is, we cannot ignore making mistake. In whatsoever stage we live, we make mistake. So don't take mistakes as mistake, but take lesson from the mistake. Kindly take out the lesson, grab the lesson that you want to learn from the mistake. So you have to understand yourself. So in order to learn from mistake, you have to understand yourself. That's why he said first understand yourself. Then this particular title actually was framed. He didn't highlight anywhere in this book about the title, but I found the title that evident in the first chapter, discover your calling. That is, discover your needs, discover your ideas, discover your likes, discover your motives in life. so that you can live smoothly. So here I will read out the lines said by his own father. So to him, son, when you were born, you cried while the world rejoiced. Live your life in such a way that when you die, the world cries while you rejoice. So here he's saying, when we cry, the world will be happy. Like when we lost our lives, we will be happy and others will cry. Actually, this is he's saying that we should be happy at the time of death, but not everyone can be happy during the death. uh, but once you take life serious as a gift gifted by God, you have to take care of the gift so kindly, and you should think of each moment. You should think before you do anything, so that it will make your gift as beautiful as it was earlier. So that's why people normally happily singing while we are born, crying is nature. But when we die, what is the word like you rejoice? It is compared with like when you die, only the people when the people surrounded by will be attracted to you when you were living. Like what I'm actually saying, that if you build a good deeds in you, people will come to mourn you. But when you don't have any good deeds in you, no people will come to mourn you. For example, when APJ Abdul Kalam sir has died, so nation, not only nation, worldwide we mourn for him, because he had helped, he had made his life through hurdles, and he doesn't even care about failures. So many failures he has gone through, but he didn't care about it. And he started his life journey, and his dream was to teach the young minds the lesson of life. That's what. And his last wish too was to deliver a speech to the young minds, and that's how he died. So he will rejoice during the time of death. But when we take, for example, Bin Laden, you can't expect you can't expect people being so mourning for him. Actually, they won't mourn, because he has done so many he has caused so many crises in nation. He has killed so many people without even pity. That is he is a symbol of the bad deeds that made him the world rejoice at the time of death. So this was the most beautiful thing I got from this book. Kindly do read this book. Or even actually, I really gone through the pages, and I thought myself, should be done by you, and already what you have done is wrong. So you have to change the path of life properly in order to succeed your life. So this is what I learned from this book. And one more chapter was rising up early. So rising up early, actually this bit was like why can't late rising be giving a happiness? But actually, when I experimented this into my life, I found the day after early rising, I found the day was moving in a very smooth manner, and the end of the day was rejoicing. I was celebrating. The day was so smooth, so happy. So when you rise early, you will hear a chirping of birds, trees, the calmness, the peacefulness. Kindly enjoy those nature. So by enjoying nature, when you wake up and enjoying nature, the whole day you will forget angriness, you will forget unkindfulness, you will be kind to everyone, you will be smooth, you will be so energetic in the sense. So this is all about the book, and kindly do read it. If you want a change in life, kindly you read it. This is all about the book, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ms. Senthilkumar. That was a heartwarming presentation, and you gave us a lot of food for thought. The way you were talking, it made us realize that the need to be more humane and more altruistic in a world that is constantly in need of these things. So that was very heartwarming. If you have any questions, you can direct them to Ms. Senthilkumar. As we wait for the questions, I have a message here from a former head of Madras Christian College, which I would like to read out. All the four presenters did a phenomenal job, so I'm sure they deserve this. So I'm reading out a message given by Dr. Ganesh, the former head of the Department of English, Madras Christian College. So this is from Dr. Ganesh. I am truly proud and privileged that I have had the occasion to meet two of them in a classroom. The greatest joy of a teacher is to see his or her students excel. All the four reviewers did a great job. My hearty congratulations to all of them. It is happily overwhelming to see these kids do so well. All four of them are without doubt great teachers in the making. Kudos to them and my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Rufus. So, I'm so happy to share this message here from Dr. Ganesh. I'm sure you deserve it. So if we have any questions, we would like to to the presenters. I would also like to call upon Dr. Rufus to say a few words regarding today's session because I'm sure we have a lot to be thankful for, especially to Dr. Rufus for giving us all this opportunity. So we would like to hear from you, sir. I have a message. Dr. Rufus?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sharon. It was wonderful. Actually, all the four participants did an amazing job. And I was messaging in my group that my eyes went really moist, seeing them so cool, calm, and confident. I'm so happy for them. And many senior professors, including Dr. Ganesh, Dr. Ramasubu, and others, have also messaged and conveyed their appreciation and their blessings for these kids. So proud of you all, right? And especially to you, the moderator, you did a very good job today, this evening. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So we would like the participants to direct any questions. If not, I have a couple of announcements to make. So prospective participants can message us on the chat box if they wish to present in the future. And also, many of you expressed interest in applying to the American Center for Resources. If you are interested, you have the email ID through which you can access those resources. So you have it given by Ms. Usha Alagappan. Thank you so much, ma'am, for providing your mail ID here. So this is the mail ID. You have it in the chat box. You can take it down. If there are no further questions, we can conclude right now. So I would like to thank each and every one of you who came here. And most of all, I would like to thank the participants who did a phenomenal job. And all of them, they were so well prepared and they were so excited about their reviews, and that really made our day. I'm so happy that personally I learned about a lot more. That you can be as diverse as you want when it comes to literature. Literature really allows you to know so much about other fields also, politics, be it natural history, any of it be feminism. So I'm so happy that I was introduced to this wide array of books, and this has been a great opportunity. I would like to thank Dr. Rufus for giving me this chance to moderate, and also Readers Rendezvous for unfailingly giving support and guidance to bibliophiles, and for making these Friday evenings so memorable. So it has been great journeying with RR and journeying with these meetings, these books and coffee meetings. So with that, I would like to call it a day. And if Dr. Rufus were here, I'm sure he would say something about coffee. No, none of these sessions are complete without something about coffee. So yeah, I hope you all go and catch yourself a coffee break. So that's all for today. Have a very good day, all of you.